Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and this is going to be a long video. I'm going to break down the Silvertide photos that I took at their first concert in 6 years. I spent the whole day, actually I was the first one there. I showed up at 2:30 in the afternoon before anybody even got to the venue. I think there was one other guy, the sound guy was there early, so I went and had lunch, but really starting at about 3:30, I started shooting photos of the day. My job, my whole mentality behind the day was to shoot from start to finish, from setup to breakdown to up in the dressing room to on stage to in the pit during the show, and to basically capture everything that happens during the day. So we're going to talk about, I believe it's 167 images. I'm going to go through 167 images with you. That's why it's going to be a long time. But don't forget, you can sign up for the FroKnowsPhoto guide to capturing motion in low light situations. Look on the screen. The box is popping up that you can sign up with on FroKnowsPhoto.com. And if you're looking for information on how I figure out how to get all of my settings, how I got out of auto back in the day, I created the FroKnowsPhoto Beginner Guide to Getting Out of Auto. It is a 3-hour-long video guide that's going to help you if you're trying to figure out how to understand the exposure triangle, how to get better compensation, and if you want to watch me on 4 full photo shoots, you can do so. Check out FroKnowsPhoto.com/guide. So thank you guys who have picked that up already. Anybody else who would like to support that, thank you very much. It helps me continue to bring these free videos, especially this one that I'm sensing is going to be a very, very long video. So I've known Silvertide for a long time. I've been friends with those guys since almost when I started shooting concert photos. And now that they're back together, I have all access to do whatever I want. That is just how we work. They don't tell me what I can't do. I just show up and do what I do, and they know that. So I was able to get some amazing shots. So let's start getting into this. First things first, we have the marquee outside. We have Silvertide. We have the date. We have it saying sold out. It says 8 p.m. We've got everything about it, where it's at, the TLA. This is always important to get. This is an important shot to have, so that's why I was able to capture this. Outdoors, not really needing to go over the settings here, but I want to hit all the details about everything in this video. Actually, let me hit this button so we can get full screen. Just another angle, just to get the color moving forward. We've got Andy out here. He's one of the guys who was helping guitar tech with Nick, so this is outside. F4 ISO 800 at 1/1000th of a second, 200 millimeters on the 70 to 200, 2.8. You're going to see a lot of black and whites in this throughout these photos. I am a big fan of black and whites, and it just felt right. And then there were times where black and white didn't feel right. So if it doesn't feel right, I stick with color. But people ask me all the time, how do you determine whether it should be edited in black and white or in color? Sometimes it's a toss-up. Sometimes it could go either way. But many times when I was editing these photos, it's just like, yeah, that works in black and white, or no, you know what, this should stick in color. So this to me is what it's all about, telling the story of behind the scenes. This is Kevin, he's the drummer. He opened up the hatchback of his car and boom, the Yingling lager dropped out the back, and yeah, so they were a case of beer down, but it was definitely worthy of having a picture. Then there's the beer running down. And then Walt bringing in some merch, because Walt's doing the merch there. And then here, let me show you guys something. People always ask, you know, that you can correct raw files pretty far in Lightroom, but it's so important to get your exposure right. These guys came together. This is Mark Melchior on the left. He's a guitar player, and on the right is 3. His name is 3. He's a guitar tech, a drum tech, Cabo Wabo with what's his name? Yeah, Cabo Wabo guy. I forget his name, but he works closely with him. This is 1/60th of a second, f4 6400 ISO. This was in the complete darkness. Let me show you where this started. That's where it started, right? So my exposure was extremely far off. Looks like it's 3 freaking stops off. One thing, shouldn't have been at f4. I should have gone maybe to 2.8, and that would have gotten me closer. Could have slowed the shutter speed down even more, but I was using a 70 to 200, so that wouldn't have been great. I should have just gone up to 8000 ISO, opened up to 2.8, and I should have been about fine. But look, this is what happens. Yeah, okay, good. They wouldn't care. They'd like it, but geez. Hi, Swiss cheese. Hello, how are you today? It still looks fine, and I tweaked it, and I played with it a little bit. You know, we could probably tweak it a little more and you know, be happy with the results, but you know, this is what happens if you're that far off. I just wanted to show you that. So now we got Walters just waiting. He's actually holding, I left my bag there, so that's what he's holding. He's holding my bag, and yeah, so he's just waiting there. This felt right in color. This felt like the type of image I wanted to shoot. Wide angle with the 14 to 24, 1/60th of a second at 2.8, 8,000 ISO because it was very dark. This is where it started, nice and flat, but that's what happens with the raw files, and boom. I like this image. You can see what's going on the right-hand side of the frame. Just want to check my time here. We got 20 minutes to do. How far in? We're already 6 minutes in. All right, so boom, move forward. The story here. I think it's important to show you all of these images. I'm going to cut them together into a music video just to show people the story of the day in order. But I wanted to go through all of these because it's important to point out things I didn't like, mistakes I made, because there are always mistakes that I make during a shoot. It just happens. You learn from it. But I think it's important to see all of the keepers for the day, not just some of them. Not just the 10 best shots that somebody got for shooting 3 songs. There's a big difference between getting that access to shoot whatever you want versus getting 1 or 2 good shots through a shoot because you only had 3 songs to shoot. Now, not everybody is going to get that, but when you can get all access and you get the credibility to do so, you can get some amazing results. And it's not going to happen overnight. You have to get in with somebody, and there's no secrets I can tell you how to get in with somebody other than finding your way. And that's what it's about. So there's another one of Walter's. Then he started walking away, and yep, cut off his foot, but that's because he was walking. I still like this image. We got Walter's here, boom. It's grainy, it's 8,000 ISO, but I like the color. We got Missy up here in the dressing room. We'll keep going quicker through some of these. So we got Nick Perry talking to Andy right here in the foreground, giving him some, they're basically going over the show notes because Andy's going to be doing the guitar teching for Nick. So 1/125th of a second, f2.8, 8,000 ISO, 14 to 24. You know, sometimes I like being at 2.8, but as of late, I like being at 3.2 or 3.5. The reason I like to be at 3.2 or 3.5, it's going to be a little sharper than 2.8. Plus, it gives me just a little bit more leeway to make correction, or not to make corrections, with my focus. You know, if I'm focused in on the eye and maybe they move slightly, and it would have been on the nose, but there's just a little bit more leeway at 3.2. I go over all of the exposure triangle in the FroKnowsPhoto beginner guide. I'll keep plugging away. You guys check it out, FroKnowsPhoto.com/guide. For anybody who doesn't really understand the exposure triangle and wants to be able to do what I am doing in these photos in any light situations, check it out. So yeah, we've got Nick here. We've got Andy in the foreground. This is the composition I like. Then Nick's holding a $40 roll of tape. It's a gaff tape. He ordered it especially green. That's why I took it and left it in there for him. So we got 3 doing the bass drum, just getting it set up. You've got this extreme light in the background. If I was to be exposing for this extreme light, the image would look like this, because it would be metering for that light. So people ask me all the time, Jared, what metering mode are you in? Well, a lot of the time I'm in matrix metering mode, but I may not be looking at the meter. I do chimp. I do look at the back of the screen to see if my exposure is close. I don't look at histograms, because in a low light situation, look at the histogram. Big ass spike over here, big ass spike over there, and to me, that is meaningless. I am not a big fan of the histogram. I don't find that it's an exact representation of what I am going to get in my image. This is where this image started out, and this is where it ended up. So when I'm in here, I am looking, sometimes I look at the meter, but in this case, it would have been thrown off by that really bright light. So I'm in manual exposure. Again, the exposure triangle is what I'm playing with. I'm at 1/200th of a second, f3.2, 8,000 ISO, focusing in right on his face, and that's what I'm going for. This is a nice composition. Also, with bright lights like this, I like to use those lights to block the subject's head, just like I did in this image. Now I use the light to block his head. I used his head to block the light, which allows you to then get this glowy McGlowerson thing in the background. 1/125th at 3.2. Is it the same in both? 200th of a second in that one, and 1/125th of a second in this one. You can see I didn't even change my exposure. I just bumped the contrast, bumped up the highlights because I wanted to get a little bit more white in there. Sharp here on the shirt. And I'll be honest with you guys, I had trouble with back focusing. I don't know if it's something with the D4 or if it's the lenses. I've been doing my research with Nikon trying to figure out what it is. I am going to send my D4 in because I had issues where I was focusing in on the subject and I knew I was focused right in on the face, and 5 feet behind them's in focus. It shouldn't be the case. So I am sending my camera back in. Hopefully they fix that and figure out what the issue was. I didn't have this problem in my D3S. Like I say, with most gear, there's going to be issues with some gear that comes out, even if it's mine. That's perfectly fine. I'm not happy about it, but I'm going to send it in. They're going to take a look at it. They'll make the tweaks, and hopefully we are good to go because I like to have tack freaking sharp images. Moving forward, because this is going to take a while. Walter holding up the mannequin for, yeah, you'll see. Then he starts making out with the mannequin with some tongue. These are the types of shots that tell a story. This is a type of shot that tells a story. You can actually see my fro here in the background. I didn't notice that before. 1/60th of a second, f3.2, 800 ISO, again with the 14 millimeter. I like shooting wide. I like the fact that when you can shoot, what somebody once told me that, you know, I used to say this all the time, you shoot tight and you can be shooting at the Eiffel Tower, but you do a headshot and nobody would know where you're at. So it doesn't matter if you were in your friend's basement or in the Eiffel Tower in Paris. So what I like about wide angles, and the advice I was given a long time ago, is fill the frame, get close to your subject with wide angles. The closer you get, the better the image is going to look, but they're also not really freaking small, and you're not going to crop later. What I like about this image is there's so much going on again in the background. You've got all the guitars, you've got all the brickwork in the back, and you've got the Silvertide cases over here that are spray painted. You've got just bags of stuff. What is this? I can't even read what that says, but that's more bags of stuff. Checking my time here. All right, we're going to have to take a break in a couple minutes to start back over with the main camera. But I love this black and white. I just love the feel of it going forward. So the reason I have this composition, yes, they're close to the middle here, but I utilize the guitars on the left-hand side out of focus to draw you into the subject. That's that dead space off to the left, but it's filled with a guitar, and that is a cool composition because you have all of these guitars. Let's go back to here. Leaning up here, you've got Nick talking to Andy right here. You've got the Silvertide logo in the background. You've got them going over information right here. And that, to me, is what makes a great behind-the-scenes image. Again, all of them in manual exposure. In terms of focus modes, I'm not in continuous for this. I'm in single focus mode because, and in Canons, it's not the AI servo, it's the single. And the reason is they're not moving and I want to lock in, have that beep go so I can hear it and know that I'm tack sharp as long as I'm not back focusing with my camera. Another one that I ended up leaving in color, I utilized the guitars out of focus in multiple layers to draw me into Nick right here. It's all part of a story. That is what I'm going for. We got Brian just smoking and checking his phone. Another one of Brian checking his phone. And Andy right here. Now my exposure was extremely far off. This is where it started. It's off because one of these side lights, you can see one back here, they're the LEDs on the rotation. I don't know if they're LEDs, but they're really freaking bright, but they give me that awesome background. I wasn't prepared for this exposure. I was at 1/160th of a second at 3.2 at 3200 ISO. I even corrected over a stop back. I would have had to go even further to get something proper. I was a good 3 stops off in this image. That's because that light changed, and that is going to happen. So during sound check, they're testing the lights. So it's not even. It's always changing, and in this case, that is what happened and caused me to get the wrong exposure or not be able to basically change. I was just off, but I liked the image and I kept it and I processed it the way that I thought would still be the best, and that's how it turned out. So yeah, I didn't mind it. Boom. Now Nick's just holding out a pic. Didn't expect him to do this. Not as boomified as I would want this. I'd like I would like more in Nick's face right here, but this is just how it was. Yeah, and it's just part of the day, part of the story. Then we've got sound guy. We've got Mark over here. Steve and Mike, Steve and Jesus, Mark. I'm sorry, Mark. But love these wide shots to tell the story of the set being set up. We've got the pedal boards. We've got these things over here. We've got them talking and setting up. Then another one. Boom. Composition's what I'm looking for. And we got Walters in color. I left it in color because the TLA has this nice red hue when the lights are on. So it's nice and warm. And then he's walking up. Boom. Okay, thank you, back up. Thank you for telling me I haven't backed up. And then, all right. So I think it is time to take a quick break to reset the camera. I'm going to reset it now so that we can keep going. But, you know, I hope you're enjoying this video. I know it's a long video, but this is a brain dump and giving you as much information on why I did what I did so that you can hopefully put it into effect with what you're doing and what you're shooting, whether it's a concert, whether it's sports, whether it's portraits, landscapes, or whatever. Start trying to get these mentalities. And again, this is a free video. If you haven't signed up for the free ebook that I give you, check that out on FroKnowsPhoto.com. And don't forget about the FroKnowsPhoto Beginner Guide to Getting Out of Auto. It is a 3-hour-long video guide that a lot of people have liked and loved and really helped them get out of auto. So we'll be right back to continue on with the show. All right, we're back. Let's just jump right in here. So we've got more of the guitars being set up. We've got some of the basses over here, and I just thought it was a cool shot because you have all of these items right here. Boom. Just stuff. Just stuff, and it felt right in color. Wider shots of the stage before everybody, as it's being set up. Thought it's good to have. Let's see, 1/250th of a second at f3.2, 8,000 ISO. Let me talk about high ISO again. We're starting to get into a point where most cameras can handle this. We're getting into a point where your basic cameras can shoot at 6,400. 12,800, 10,000, 8,000 ISO. So a lot of cameras are giving you this ability. But I talk about good quality glass all the time. If I didn't have quality glass, if I was shooting at 5.6, I wouldn't be at 8,000 ISO. I'd have to be at like 28,000 ISO, 28,500, and then you're getting into more grain. You're getting into more noise. When you pick up a better piece of glass, a 2.8 or better, so a 1.4, a 1.8, a 2.8 lens, and you're shooting that way, it allows you to get better quality images because you can keep the ISO down, or in this case, you can bump it up and get a little bit more of your aperture at say 3.2 because you want a little bit sharper image. So don't forget, they don't have to be extremely expensive. Good glass doesn't have to be really expensive. You can get a 35-1.8 from Nikon for about $220. You can get a 50-1.8 from Canon for about $200. And then when you start getting into the 1.4s, you're in the $300-400 range and you're getting a quality piece of glass. So more onto this theme. I got this big lens flare because the lights just pointed right at me and I shot it and I liked this shot, so I kept going. Threw in there a color, again, part of the story for the day. Go outside, switch everything up, drop my ISO to 1250, still at 2000 because I want to get the proper exposure. Here we've got Walt with his hat on, and then, this isn't the easiest to do. His eyes are in shadow. This picture doesn't boom as much as I want to make it go boom, because if I made it go boom, then I wouldn't see his eyes and I wouldn't see his face. And that's not something that I wanted to lose. I wanted to maintain this. And what I like about having this guy out of focus in the foreground is it draws me into Walters. It draws me into the image, and I don't even really, I see the guy out of focus, but it gives me better context. Microphones, I was honestly just testing out focus, making sure that it wasn't back focusing. But with the 70-200, I don't really notice any back focusing, but boom, that is sharp. And then I thought, hey, why don't I get the whole Silvertide there out of focus in the background with the microphone here? You never know if this will turn into a shot that they want to use for something else. So more of the images of 3. I really like shooting 3. He looks like a grizzlied vet on the road, and he's just an amazing, awesome, nice, talented guy, great at what he does, great guy to have on crew. So that's 3. That's why he's been with the Cabo Wabo guy. What's his? I still can't remember his name all the time. This is one of my favorite images of 3. He's just watching as the show, not the show, but the setup's going on. Because he's a drum tech, I'm using the drum kit These are symbol thingy-mabobbers to draw you, you know, they are out of focus and it draws you in. I took this in color. I'm going to show you guys in color. That doesn't do as much for me as the black and white. The black and white feels better to me. That's why you go back and forth. There's times. There's not a right or wrong thing to do. It's what feels best for you and what the client may want. But in this case, I'm making all the decisions because I'm delivering them what I want to deliver them. I like this in black and white. I think 3 looks the best here. The color was good, but not as good as this solid black and white. So I was at 1/100th of a second at 3.5, 8,000 ISO with the 70 to 200. Again, that's breaking rules. Remember the rule: if you're shooting at below your focal length, meaning I'm at 130 millimeters. I shouldn't really be shooting below 1/125th of a second, but I am at 1/100th of a second because I am using VR. The VR will allow you to handhold at a much slower speed and still capture sharp images, and that's what we have here. Another one of 3. This time I used the symbol stands out of focus to really draw you into 3, and I just love the lighting. I did it again in color. This one I was closer to going with in the color. I do like the color right now, but I still feel that the black and white is more dynamic. So what do you guys think? You can leave a message below about the color versus black and white, but I really dig the black and white in this. Then we got Brian standing on stage smoking, because that's what Brian does. Brian's an unbelievable bass player. Boom. Just playing around with the stage lighting. Now we're upstairs into the dressing room. We got Walter's lighting a cigarette. I went with the very low light situation here. I was at 1/200th of a second, 3.5, 8,000 ISO. Again, not a lot of light in this room. Makes it very difficult to photograph. All we had on was this light, this chandelier, not chandelier, but this torch light over here. But I like the dark feel of this one. That's why, wow, my exposure was this. But that's why I stuck with the dark look, because that's what I was going for. It just feels right. Then we got Walters here just hanging out. I don't think these are amazing. They're not as amazing as I would want them to be, but this isn't as amazing as I would want it to be. A lot of that smoke in the room, the 8,000 ISO. It's sharp, it's grainy. I don't mind noise and I don't mind grain. That's just me. But this again, you know, it's a good shot. I don't mind it, but it's not as dynamic as some of the others. This is a little more dynamic. He's looking at his phone. You got the bottle of Jack in the foreground. He's smoking the cigarette. You got all the smoke billowing up here, so it's a cool shot. Then I started to play with the Jack Daniels bottle. We got the bottle right here. Boom. With Walt out of focus, and then this is my favorite one. This is the black and white that I like. I just think this is a great advertisement type shot. If JD comes along and is like, wow, we want to show our music, we want to show musicians that drink Jack Daniels. This could be an advertisement for that, because you've got Walt in the background. He's still recognizable to me. We would put the Silvertide logo on this for like an advertisement, and boom. You've got something that Jack Daniels may like. This is something that they could pick up. This is something they could run an ad with if they were going to sponsor a band or something. Moving forward, we're not even up to the full show yet. Just more of the crew setting up. Now we've got all the guitars set up and all the basses there. We saw that earlier. Just hanging out again on stage right before sound check. I like getting in for sound check. Sound check's important. The light may not always be great, but it's good to start shooting. It's good to get the behind the scenes stuff. Set yourself apart from everybody else. If you get permission, ask the tour manager. In this case, there was really no need because I'm friends with the band. But I wasn't friends with this band a long time ago. Let me tell you the story of how I became friends with Silvertide. I might as well. Ari and I were doing a magazine called Fuzz Magazine that we started, and we were going to photograph Shinedown and Silvertide in Atlantic City at the House of Blues, and I got an email from Silvertide's PR team or marketing team at the label, and I was like, sure, let's do that. Let's set up an interview. So they set us up an interview with Walter, Walt Lafty, the lead singer, and we sat there with Walt. And he said a bunch of things. One, he said, you're the bunch of best dressed journalists that I've ever met, which is good because Ari and I used to dress up to go to shows like that. It was before I had an afro. And Walt was honest with us. He's like, look, I don't like journalists. He just flat out said, I don't like them. They're full of shit. They say one thing to you and then they lie. They just lie and then they do whatever they want. But we ended up sitting backstage with Walt. Instead of for 15 minutes, we sat there for an hour. We sat there having a discussion. We became friends there. And how many pictures do you think I took while Walt and Ari were doing an interview? I took 0. I took 0 because I didn't know Walt yet, and Walt didn't know me. And he just voiced all of these things about why he's not comfortable with photographers and why he's not comfortable with journalists. But because I left the camera in the bag and didn't take any pictures, we built a rapport. We built credibility. So I shot the whole show. He said, do whatever you want. Shoot as much as you want. Go wherever you want. And we became friends. He gave us his number. We started talking. We went into the studio. After the show, this show, I took some really cool behind-the-scenes stuff, and he felt comfortable. So because he felt comfortable with us, we started a long-term friendship, and that's really the story. We've gone on for about more like 8 years now. It's been about 8 years since we've met and hung out, and that's really what it takes. You become friends with these guys, and you can get access to do what you need to do. So that's just a little side note. How are we doing on time again? This could be like a 40-minute long video. Yeah, we'll keep going. Boom. So now we got Walters. This is Soundcheck again. Just shots during Soundcheck, just playing around. Nobody's there, just me futzing around. This has the entire band in there. Walt's just waiting off to the side. Nick up and there. This is Nick's wife, Missy. She's putting her pass on, sitting there with that light, getting that smoke on. Just more shots, more behind the scenes. Boom. Walt playing around with Panty Raid. Walt, not my favorite behind the scenes shots. I'm not gonna, sugarcoat it, but these are okay. This is Walt being Walt, just being weird and doing that. And yeah, then they're putting together a documentary of what's going on. So boom, get the pictures of that. Boom. Another one, and then one more where I focused in on the screen to put them out of focus, just telling the story of whatever they're doing. Nick's just warming up the puppies, as he calls it. He's getting the fingers warm up for the show. So I don't like this one as much. It's just weird just to have a lamp here, but that's why I moved in tighter. I did a vertical shot instead of the horizontal. I like the light on his face. Love the fact that the cigarette's here with the smoke coming out of it. He's on his phone. He's got his guitar here. Went in for a tighter horizontal. Another one with the smoking. But then this one felt right in color. Let me just convert it to black and white real quick for you. Boom. Black and white. Yeah, I like it, but there was just something about the color that resonated with me. Right now I'm digging the black and white, but I guess it varies. But I thought the color felt good with that blue, with that red, with the glow. I thought it worked well. So now we've got the whole band just getting ready for the show. Got these shots going. More. Boom. Just band shots. They haven't been shot together in a long time. And they were just hanging out, playing around. Not great lighting, but telling a story. Ari gets his hands in here. So the band, Dave Ivory, who's produced their first EPs. And so they're getting ready for the show. Hands in. Boom. Have a good show. Boom. One more. And we're going to take a quick break, come right back, and finish this up with the live show. There are a lot more pictures there, so we'll be right back. All right, let's dive into the live show. So now Walt's just going nuts on stage. 1/1000th of a second and 3.5, 6400 ISO. So at the very beginning of a show, you're not really sure where the lights are going to be, what they're going to do, how bright are they. And this is what's going through my mind. I want to have a fast shutter speed. The first time I ever saw Walt play in Silvertide was at this radio show. I didn't know them yet. I was like, what the hell are these guys doing? They were going nuts. They were just flying all over the stage. Walt didn't stand still at all. So it would have been impossible to shoot him with film, which is what I was doing. It was the D2H. So I'm at like 1/100th of a second trying to freeze this guy running around stage. So I know that I want a faster shutter speed to freeze the action. So the first thing I do is bump my shutter speed to where I think it should be. Then I bump my ISO. And now we start shooting because I want to freeze the motion. He is frozen. That is what I was going for. That's why I started where I started. And then I start tweaking throughout the show. 5000 ISO, it all depends on the lighting. I love the thick contrast of these. Yes, I'm on strong contrast in the point curve. Boom, moving through more. You can see all these on the site, but Walt goes into the crowd a lot, so there you have that. This is all natural light. Fisheye shot, didn't use that very often, not a big fan of the fisheye, but like this shot. Now it looks like crap in color because that's where it started, but red light really turns into good black and white. But this image is made in the processing. Look at it. It really is nothing like this. It just looks like crap to me, and then boom. Much better shot. Now, even though I don't see his face, I see his foot on the barricade. I see all these bright lights here. I see Brian back here. I see the fans, and it just made for a better shot. The composition is right on, in my opinion. Moving forward, a low angle with Walters. Just, you know, Nick going nuts. The band, they're playing. Where am I at? 800th of a second. So what's happening is as the light changes, you have to be cognizant of that. You have to change your ISO. You have to change your shutter speeds. The first thing that I change when the light changes is my shutter speed. The reason I change the shutter speed first is the easiest thing to do in my triangle. You know, the first thing I want to change if I need more light or it gets too bright is my shutter speed, because it's the first thing that I can just tweak. Then if I need to tweak something from there, I may tweak my aperture, and then after that, my ISO is my next option. So I tweak the shutter speed first. The lights are getting brighter, the lights are getting darker. And here's a mistake that people make when they shoot concerts. As soon as the show starts, sometimes it's not very bright. The lights aren't even on. There's no front light, but people are going nuts and shooting a ton of shots because they feel like they have to shoot. They only have 3 songs. I don't care if you only have 3 songs. If there is no light, don't waste the freaking pictures. I don't care if it's digital and you can delete them. If there's no light, you got to know that there's no picture. If there's no light in his face, there's not going to be any good pictures to take. So don't worry about it. Don't take it. Wait till the light turns on. And another thing is, don't bitch about it. Don't bitch about, I bitch when I'm in the pit. I'm like, where's the light? Give me some white light. But if it isn't there, it's not there. You have to make it work with what's there. And if there's no light in the face, you're SOL. They're not going to get any photos. So it is becoming, or behooves them to have better lighting. Moving forward. Okay, live shot. Okay, live shot. Better live shot. It's a wide angle, but I'm getting 4 of the 5 members in the band. Love the color wash. Definitely not a black and white image. Walters, boom. Hugging Nick, just emotion that's going on. Good to have. Walt jumping off of the drum, definitely a good one to have. Continuous focus, locked in, 8,000 ISO, 1,000th of a second. Again, it's about freezing that motion. At least for me. This is about freezing that motion. It's tough to get the contrast up in the face because of these lights. These lights, having that backlight, make it tougher for there. So you just have to compensate. You just have to let it be what it's going to be. Freezing him in the air, 12/50th of a second. Ari's pouring Walt another Jack and Coke. He's behind stage or on the drum riser while this is happening. I took a picture. I jumped up on the drum riser. Because I have access to go wherever I want to go, I use that time to jump up to get different angles. It's important to get shots like this, to get the crowd in there. I stood up there with the 14-24, and then I switched to the fisheye because the fisheye may work better. This is how you get to show the venue. When you're in an amazing place, you can show, like if you're in Royal Albert Hall in London, imagine if you're standing on stage behind the drummer shooting that entire place. It would look amazing. So skip him. Yeah, this is great because you get to show the whole crowd. Boom, more of the crowd. Boom. I'll stop saying boom. Just better images. And this one felt right in black and white. Then we've got this strong backlighting. But if I wasn't, again, exposing manually, then I wouldn't have been able to get this shot. Because if it was reading for these lights, this is what we would have, and the shot wouldn't be usable. So because I'm shooting in manual, and I knew felt like where I should be, this is where I was, and that's how I got this shot of Nick. Nick engaged the camera, so I took some pictures because he's playing it up for me, and then boom, he drops into this. This felt like a great black and white moment for me. Then I always like to throw in some 70-200s, tighter shots. I want to do this quick check. Oh boy, I've been talking a while. We're 30-some minutes in. Boom. I like this. I like because Walt's in the foreground, drawing me into Nick. Hands on the guitar. Guitar looks great. This is where this image started. Not so good in color. Much better in black and white when it's tweaked properly, or tweaked to my liking. Again, when it comes to tweaking an image, it's up to you. There is no right or wrong way to tweak a file. I like to crush my blacks. I don't care. I don't mind if I lose detail in certain areas. That is my style. People can look at my images and tell you that that's a Jared image, that's a FroKnowsPhoto shot versus somebody else's because of my distinct style for how I process my images. That to me is important to have. And I don't care if somebody thinks I don't do it right. And again, when it comes to critiquing, it doesn't matter. It comes down to what you feel is the right way to process your image. There's no right or wrong way. There's just what works for you. So, yeah. Nick jumped out up on a barricade on the bar area. That's off the stage, so there's not a lot of light there, so you had to play with it. I bumped my ISO because I knew that I couldn't change my shutter speed. I had to drop my shutter speed because look, this is how dark this image is. This is where it's at. There's no light there. So I knew I had to instantly go to 12,800 ISO to get more ISO. Then I dropped my shutter speed to 1/200th of a second to allow me to get a proper exposure, and the exposure is pretty close. I'm off by a stop, but I rather correct for that, cheat the system. I rather have that 200, okay. Why did I cheat the system? What do I call cheating the system? I mean underexposing the image by shooting with a faster shutter speed to freeze the action and then correcting for that later in Lightroom. That's cheating. No, it's not really cheating. It's just thinking how you want to process it later. I want to freeze that motion, but I don't want to bump my ISO any higher, so I may underexpose by a stop. Say, instead of shooting at 100th of a second, I shoot at 200th of a second to help me freeze that action a little more, and then I correct for that later by bumping my exposure in Lightroom. That's what I call cheating the system. I love the color. I love the contrast that's coming up in these images. Feels good, looks good. Yeah, I'm liking these shots. Then Nick's going crazy. Boom. Nick's going crazy again. And I'm just capturing it. I am freezing this motion because I'm sticking with that fast shutter speed. Just trying to get a lot of action. You got the bass player, you got Nick, you got Walt, all in there. Freezing that hair motion. One of my favorite shots. I like this shot. It felt right in color. Didn't feel right in black and white. This felt right in color. I like the thick tones. I like the light in his face. Really good. And then Nick's just going to town. Go back to this. I like that a lot. All right, we got Mark playing the drums, playing the keyboards. We've got Nick back on the guitar here, and I want to take a quick break and come right back, and we'll be right back with more on the Silvertide show. Okay, jumping right back. Love these shots of Nick. Just love the color. The black and white didn't do it for me. Let me show you black and white. Boom. No, don't like it as much. I mean, I like it, but I just felt that there was something about the dynamic color that came in here. It felt right. The Nick just starts getting crazy on his guitar. We're getting close to it. Well, yeah, he got crazy. He started rolling around on the ground. This is what I was talking about. I'm going to show you. The back focus. Nailer is in focus. All right? Not so much Nick, and that upsets me. Yes, but I'm just being straight up honest with you. This is what happened. The focus was missed. I mean, I focused right on him, but it's back focusing. That is why I'm going to get that taken care of and looked at, because I noticed it. I'm not happy with it. The image still works, but I'm also upset that it's back focusing. They still are good shots. The composition, the framing's there. Nick's going nuts on his knees. Boom. I know I keep saying that. Leaning back. Walt's praying down, like thanking him. He's an amazing guitar player. Then Walt decides to get in on the laying on the ground action. Liking the color, like the feel of this, love the feel of this. Then it's time for the solo. I didn't know Nick was going to go into this long solo. I've shot Nick a lot of times, so I know a lot of his moves. But I was in the right place. A lot of it comes down to being in the right place, anticipating what the action's going to be, having the right lenses on, having the right exposures at the right times, just feeling the moment and capturing it, and that's it, and not overthinking it, not overcomplicating it, but being in the moment to get the image that you should get, being ready for the moment. So I was ready here, 12/50th of a second, 3.5, 8,000 ISO. I'm ready for it. I like this shot. I love the feel of it. I love how the focus is here on the guitar, and with just some light blowing out in the background. Nick went into this jump. This is a series. 1/1250th of a second. This is why I'm shooting at a high ISO, to give me that 12/50th of a second. People are going to sit there and go, well, couldn't you have shot at 4,000 ISO at, say, 400th of a second? Absolutely. But then I wouldn't have frozen this motion. This is what I wanted to do. That is a levitation shot right there. That's on its way up. Now he's at the top. This is where the focus is tack sharp. I don't know why it's right here and not back focusing, but it's on. And then he comes down, the lights come on in the background, and he's about ready to land, and you got it. Then this is just revving up the crowd, going into a classic Nick backbend. Not my favorite shot, but I like it. This isn't my favorite shot either, but I do like it. This is cool. I love the glow. I left it in color because I didn't think that the black and white worked. Again, here's the black and white. Here's the color. I just thought that the background light worked better. One of my favorite shots. No, he's not in a back bend, but there's just something about the way that this light is like, lighting him up. 17 millimeters, 14 to 24, vertical. Love this shot. This is one of those really, one of my favorite shots from the shoot. Then I'm prepared for Nick to just do this. Then he starts playing with the guitar behind his head. Then he decides he wants to jump. Now let's show you something. Let me show you something here. I didn't pop a flash, but we used the shadow slider. This is 0 shadows, and that's with pumping it in there. You get more grain, you get more noise, but I also got a usable shot. There's the difference. You just have to get those shots that you have to get. Boom. We're coming up on the end here. Walt went into a jump. I missed an opportunity. Because Walt decided to jump up on the drum kit, usually he's going to jump off of it, which he ended up doing, but he took forever. Because he took forever, I started to question, should I be in single focus? Should I be in continuous focus? I started in continuous focus, and then right before he was about to jump, I switched over to single focus, thought I locked in, and it didn't shoot when he jumped until he landed. So I should have stuck with my gut, and I shouldn't have overcomplicated it, and I shouldn't have missed it, but I did. So I'm telling you, I missed it because I overthought it. I should have just, because he took too long to jump. It's his fault. No, really. I shouldn't have changed out of my first gut instinct. I should have stuck with the continuous focus, focused in on him, but nonetheless, I like the shot of him up there on the drum kit. Then they all came together, and what's funny is I saw some pictures of me in the pit taking this picture. What happened is his, let me show you the picture before. Is it here? No, the mic stand was blocking them. So I moved the mic stand with one hand and shot with the other hand and got these shots. The focus is on. The light is great. I really love these as a band shot. It's a great way to end the show. Throwing the drumstick into the stands. And then there's one behind the scenes shot of Walt opening the window and everybody yelling at him not to jump. Yeah, long video, 40-some minutes of just a brain dump. I thank you guys for watching it. Not a lot of stuff was going on after the show. The breaking down, there wasn't much for me to really shoot, but I think this tells a story of the day. There's a lot of solid images in here that can stand on their own, but together for me as a story is what I like. I love that. That's what I look for in images or in stories. That's what I want. That's what I aim to do, is tell the story of the day. I can turn that into an Adorama Pics photo book, put it on a coffee table, and these guys would just love seeing that. So really, there's so much that goes into this. There's a lot of mentality, but again, plugging my video guide. If you don't want to hear it, don't listen. But again, free website, and moving the video guides and t-shirts helps me continue. By the way, pick up the t-shirts in the store.FroKnowsPhoto.com. If you are looking to get out of auto, if you just picked up your camera or you've had it for a couple of years and you're not happy with the results you're getting because you're not in control, because you're in the auto modes, check out the FroKnowsPhoto Beginner Guide. It is a 3-hour long guide. If you're not happy with it, we'll give you a refund. That's perfectly fine. But I think once you download it and purchase it, you're going to learn so much from it that it's going to save you a ton of time, and saving time is basically saving money, and it's going to help you get to the next level as a photographer. Get out of auto, understand in each situation that you're going to be in how to get the right settings, how the exposure triangles work, and watch me doing photo shoots and learning from me doing them. So that's it, guys. This is a long video. Thank you very much for watching. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.